So, I have a video on my channel talking about how when I was in my late teens, in the late 90s, a Dreamworks production just sort of built itself around where I was staying on vacation in Martha's Vineyard. And it was for this awful movie called The Love Letter. So I don't blame people if they don't remember it. It's with Ellen DeGeneres and Tom Selleck, and Kate Capshaw, Spielberg's wife, is the lead. And I'm not saying that, like, she shouldn't be the lead. But it just sort of felt like, like if this were Red Letter Media, they would say that production is 99% above the line, and it was a paid vacation for Spielberg and his friends. And that annoys me because it interrupted my vacation, right? And it's a lot of that rules for thee, not for me shit that I complain about. I don't want to get into that, but the strangest coincidence in my life is that another Spielberg production ended up building itself around where I live and work some 10 or 13 years later. In the mid-2000s, I was living in Worcester Square in New Haven, Connecticut. And I was working as a security guard at Beinecke Library. And of course, as a sort of makeshift molder, which I just changed my name to. I'm sorry I changed my name so much. I'm kind of going through those, like, early pangs. So, as a sort of a makeshift molder, of course I work in the Beinecke Library. And if any truth people watch me, Beinecke is essentially the warehouse from Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's got that, like, oxygen-free library that has the robot arm that gets the books that are so old they can't touch the air, and it gently puts it in a little window where the robot turns the pages for you. And you can see all the books that were stolen out of Alexandria. I'm just teasing. I don't want to, conflate what I was there protecting with the fiction I like to believe is between me and Skull and Bones under the ground. Because Beinecke is very close to Yale. It's one of the Yale library buildings. And so I would always tease my guards, or my fellow guards in that moldery way, like, can you imagine what they bury under this place if this is what you see up here? That's where they keep the Spear of Destiny and the Ark of Covenant and the Holy Grail and, the fish guy in Hellboy. That's where they are. Selma Blair. You just keep, the elevator just keeps going ding, ding, ding. Anyway, so one of those fellow guards comes up to me and he says, "Oh, there's all these flyers around for this Indiana Jones 4. Can you believe it? Your favorite movie," as they say, because Raiders is my favorite movie. Spielberg is not my favorite director. I always make a distinction there. I'm one of those people where I'm always like Ridley Scott, and like Gladiator, yeah. And, like, Spielberg has made a lot of my favorite movies, like Raiders and Close Encounters. But I always felt uncomfortable calling him my favorite director after the experience I had in Martha's Vineyard. He's more of an irritant to me. And now again, for the second time, he's more of an irritant to me. Because my fellow guards are like, he's going to be shooting at Yale. He's going to be shooting in these buildings. And I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, the production's going to be getting in my way again? and they're going to close the streets, and there's going to be sawhorses everywhere. No, no, no. I've been through this with this asshole before. He just puts these sawhorses in your way so you can't buy film or ice cream or gas. And it says, like, Dreamworks says you can't cross the street. This is not going to be enchanting. There's not going to be a single dollop of whimsy involved, I assure you. And so, of course, I'm entirely validated. Where his fucking circus comes to town, and Harrison Ford with his Steve Martin white hair comes to town. And LaBarf comes to town. God damn it! So I was one of the first people to know. I'm like, so help me God, if that is Indy's son. If Spielberg is trying to make LaBarf, I am going to be pissed. And everyone's like, Tom, the sign-up sheets to become an extra are everywhere. I'm like, can I urinate on them? Can I take that clipboard and snap it over my knee and be like, Mr. Lucas and Mr. Spielberg, why are you doing this to me? I'm sorry. I hate celebrities.